So one of the things that you all have to do for this informal report is you have to have at least one, but no more than two, properly integrated visual aids. So what is a visual aid? When it comes to report writing, a visual aid is a chart, a graph, or an image of some kind that helps the reader understand the content and context of the message. So if it doesn't help the reader understand something, then we typically don't put it into a business report. Okay, so what kinds of visual aids are best for research papers? Well, there are many kinds, and it depends on what you're doing. Our book covers the majority of the of the more popular types of graphics that you can use. But basically, there's two main categories. There's tables and there's figures. So tables are tables, you know, they're cellular blocks, and everything else is a figure. If you can remember that, then you'll be good for business writing. So what kinds of visual aids are best? Like I said, so tables, pie charts, line charts, bar charts, all of those are possibly could be used in a report. I'm just going to go over tables and pie charts to show you a few things about them and how to insert them into your document. So how many visual aids should be used? For this assignment, you need to incorporate 1 to 2 visual aids, no more than 2. Let's see, how lively can they be? So by lively, we mean how colorful, how rich can they be, how complicated can they be? We don't want complicated or overly colorful visual aids. We don't want to distract the reader from the message. So you can use color, certainly, like in a table, you can alternate the color of the rows and things like that. But you want to, your goal is to make sure that everything is extremely readable for the reader. So don't get too carried away. How does a visual aid get cited? Well, just like a work cited, a reference, a work that you reference, you put the bibliography on your references page. But instead of that, for visual aids, you're going to put your source information at the bottom of the visual aid, just like it shows us in the book. The book references that visual aids need to have a meaningful introduction. So what does that mean and why is one needed? They answer the question on page 308. It says, introduce a graph meaningfully. Refer to every graphic in the text and place the graphic close to the point where it is mentioned. Most important, though, help the reader understand the significance of the graphic. You can do this by telling your audience what to look for or by summarizing the main point of the graphic. Don't assume the reader will automatically reach the same conclusions that you reached from a set of data. Instead of saying, the findings are shown in Figure 3, tell the reader what to look for. 2/3 of the responding employees, as shown in Figure 3, favor a flexible schedule. So the best introductions for graphics interpret them for readers. So you have to talk about the graphic before you show it. So remember, say it, then show it. Talk about it, then provide a visual aid of it. And remember, we don't want to provide, we can't provide a visual aid for everything. So we want to provide a visual aid for things that are maybe a lot of numbers and things that are difficult for the reader to imagine in their head, and we don't want them to get mixed up. So a visual aid would help them sort through all of those numbers if it were all that information. So we always are trying to, you know, help our reader understand what it is we're trying to say. So talk about it. Talk about the content of the visual aid and then introduce it. Okay, so what kind of a caption and or title should be used? Well, a caption is not the same as a title, though sometimes they do get conflated, and I think our book does that a bit too. I'm going to show you how to insert a caption. A caption is just a way of really kind of tagging the visual aid with and identifying, is it a table or is it a figure, and what is the basic identifier for it. And that way, when you tag an image over in your table of contents, if you need a table of contents, it will automatically populate in the table of contents. So that's why we add captions. It's always good, though. You should always caption them, whether you have a table of contents or not. And then each graph or chart or graph should have a title to it, and the title is kind of like a subject line. It needs to be thorough enough so the reader knows, what they are about to look at. So if you think of the whole say it and then show it thing, so you say it and then you show it, and then everything in that visual aid needs to be, clearly identified to make sense. Let's see. Now, where should visual aids be placed? So, as the book tells us, you want to place the visual aid as near to the reference of it as possible. So typically, the visual aid follows the information about them. So you have the introduction to the visual aid, followed by the visual aid itself. Now, how big should a visual aid be? So visual aids can be small or they can be rather large, depending upon the information, of course, that you're trying to convey. If you can convey your visual aid clearly and concisely and neatly, in a small space, that's great. No more than 1/3 of a page, and that is within the boundaries of your margins. If you have a really large document, like a map or something that you want to share with the reader, but it takes a full page, then you can attach that as an appendix. And so in the body of the report, where you are talking about the map and how to use it, you'll refer to see Appendix A instead of Figure 3. So anything you attach to the report that is extra is an appendix. But for this report, I think one table, maybe two, maybe a chart, depending on what you find. But I don't think you're going to have anything huge to include. Okay, so now visual aids. This is the one that's in the textbook on page 305, I believe, 304. And so it's exactly like what they have there, but they use the pale blue bars, and I did not do that. So mine is just a regular table, and you can some of the things that you need to know about tables. You need to identify your headings, both your axes, just like anything else. So we're looking at this by year. So that's our organization, is by year, and then by thing. So this says the MPM Entertainment Company income by division in millions of dollars. So you have to say, identify what kind of money is it. Well, it's dollars, US dollars, and these are in the millions. So this is $15.8 million. And we put the dollar sign here to signify dollars, but we're not going to clutter up the whole document with dollar signs on each one of these. We just put them on the first item in the list, and then it's assumed from thereafter. Let's see. So here is the reference. This is how you're going to cite a visual aid that you did not create. If you created it, there will be no citation at all. Notice that money is right justified. That's because we added up. Sorry. So make sure that the money is not centered and all over the place, because that can look really ugly. So nice, neat, easy to read, use concise columns, all of that. Now, this has got a title, this MPM Entertainment Company, income by division, and that's great. It needs a title, but we also need to add a cap. So highlight the whole item, whatever it is, the whole visual aid, right click on it, and then go down to Insert Caption. Word usually recognizes if it's a table or a figure. So remember though, tables are labeled as tables and everything else is a figure. So I'm going to go up here because it's the table. I have to change this. So Word didn't get this one right. Now I've got to give it a caption. Table 1 is not enough. So I'm going to give it a smaller version of the title. And I'm just going to say income by division 2014, 2018. So the label for tables goes at the top of the visual aid, so Word knows what to do with it. Now these two items are linked together. So if I needed a table of contents, this would be my entry for this visual aid for the table of contents. So that's all we need to do with that one. Now to integrate a pie chart, we're going to use the same thing. It's not a table though, so we're not going to label it as a table. Instead, we're going to label it as a figure. So this has a title, the 2017 MPM income by division. And now I want to insert a caption, so I just grabbed it and now I'm doing insert caption. And so it's thinking this is a table because it's going off what I previously did. And I'm going to change this to figure. So now it's figure 1. This is my first figure. And I'm going to put income by division 2014 or 2018. I'm going to give it the same one. Okay. So now we can see, whoops, we can see the same information, but we're seeing it represented in a different way. So the theme parks have generated 41% of the income for MPM, DVD and Blu-rays 31%, and motion pictures only 28%. So when we're introducing it, we could say a breakdown of MPM's, I'm up here, a breakdown of MPM's 2017 income by division reveals that 41% of its income is derived from theme park revenue, while only 28% is coming from motion picture sales. See figure 1. And here's figure 1. This downturn in motion picture sales can be attributed to, and then I would go on with whatever it could be attributed to. But I've talked about what's in here. I don't have to talk about everything, but I've talked about some of what's in here, and I've referenced everything in here. Now I did see that I made a mistake on this caption, so I'm just going to, I need to edit the text, and I need to change this to 2017. Because that's all it was looking at was 2017. So this gives us a full story. And again, we have our citation right here. So tables are labeled as tables and everything else is a figure. You can use the insert captions to add the figure or the table reference, and you still have to give your visual aids a title. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions.